This week, our anchor text is called Tomas Rivera. Before you read, we need to talk about the target's skill, strategy, and do some previewing of the topic. Your target's skill is sequence of events. The order of events in a selection is called the sequence of events, the order that things happen. In many selections, the events are told in time order, or the order in which they happened. As you read, think about what happens first, next, and last. You can use a chart like the one here to tell the order of events. Listing the events in order will help you better understand the selection and remember what happens. The target strategy is to monitor or clarify. If some parts or words don't make sense, you can ask questions, reread, and use the pictures for help. Good readers pay attention to whether or not they understand the selection as they read. Let's preview the topic. People did many things long ago that we still do today. They went to school, they worked, families had fun together. Today we also do new things that people did not know about long ago. What do you do that your grandparents did not do as children? You will read about a boy and his grandpa in Tomas Rivera. Meet the author, Jane Medina. Jane Medina is both a teacher and a writer, just like Tomas Rivera. She began writing when she was a teenager. Since then, she has written books of poems in Spanish and English. The illustrator, or the one who drew the pictures, is Renee King Moreno. As a young girl, Renee King Moreno loved to draw and paint. She also loved going to the library. She studied art in school, and now she illustrates children's books. This story is a biography. A biography is a story about a real person's life. Tomas Rivera is about the childhood of a real man who grew up in Texas and later became a teacher and a writer. A biography is what tells about a person's life. Look for information about why this person is important, and look for the event, the time, and order in things in which they happen. The essential question: why is it important to learn about people from the past? As you read Tomas Rivera, you're going to think about this question. Let's preview this story so that we can make a prediction about what it's about and set our purpose for reading. You can see now that it's nighttime in the story. And the grandpa and his grandson are together. Okay, go back to the beginning of the story. Make your prediction about what you think this story is going to be about, and how can we answer that essential question: why is it important to learn about people from the past? Please pause the video and talk about that question with your learning adult. Now it's time to set a purpose for reading. Good readers always set a purpose based on their preview of the selection and what they know about the genre, and what they want to learn from the selection. I know that Tomas Rivera was a writer and teacher. I want to find out what happened in his life that made him want to write and teach when he grew up. Did anyone help him reach his goals? What is your purpose for reading this story? Now it's time to read the story. Please read pages 129 through 143. Pause the video and join me when you're done reading. Now we're going to think through the text. I'm going to ask you questions based on what you read, and I would like you to pause the video and discuss your ideas to these questions with your learning adult at home, and then join me when you're done for the next question. The text tells us that Tomas picks crops with his family all day. What does this tell you about him? Analyze the text. Sequence of events. When do Grandpa and Tomas work? And what happens after work? How do you think Tomas feels at the end of a workday? What words or phrases tell you this? When does Tomas's grandfather tell stories? How do you think Tomas feels about his grandfather? How can you tell? What does Grandpa mean when he says, "We can get lots of stories for you, Tomas"? Tomas gasped when he walked into the library. What clues in the words and pictures help you understand the meaning of the word gasp? What are the important events that happened that brought Tomas to the library? Why does Grandpa tell Tomas that reading books will help him think of stories? What do you think Tomas will do with the stories that he thinks of? Use evidence from the words and pictures to help you answer. Look at the picture on page 139. How do you think Tomas's family feels about his stories? How does Tomas's family help him become a writer? Analyze the text. Using context, how do the sentences and the picture help you know the word paper? The text on page 140 says that Tomas got a job as a teacher. What events must have happened before this? Now that you have just read Tomas Rivera, an informational text that is a biography about the life of a person who was a writer, let's dig a little deeper. Remember, words like first, next, and last tell the order of events, or sequence of events. Use these pages to learn about sequence of events and using context. Then reread Tomas Rivera again, which we will do later in the week. Tomas Rivera tells about what happens to a real person. The order in which events happen is a sequence of events. When the story begins, Tomas is a child. What important events happen before Tomas becomes a writer? You can use a chart like the one at the bottom of this page to show how events are connected. This chart can show the important events of the story in order. Information from the words and the pictures in the selection can be listed in the chart to describe the events in the correct order. If we look back at pages 134 to 135, what does Grandpa tell Tomas they will do? What event happens right after that? Use your own words to describe the events in the correct order. What other important events happen before Tomas becomes a writer? When you don't know what a word means, you can write the other words in the sentence to help figure it out. You can also look at the pictures. In the story, it says the family was picking crops. You could use the word picking and the picture of the farmer's field as text evidence to figure out that crop means food that a farmer grows. Now it's your turn. Why is it important to learn about people from the past? Think about the selection and talk this over with your learning adult at home. Then you can talk about these questions in the classroom conversation area of the page on 146. On page 147 in your student book, write about reading. Write sentences that tell what Tomas is like. Begin with a sentence that tells your main idea. Next, write sentences to describe Tomas. Use facts and text evidence for ideas. Make sure you write a closing sentence. The writing tip is that a closing sentence comes at the end. It gives your writing a nice ending.